Hi, I'm Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years, and today I have my special guest. He is the author of the book Flying on the Wings of Mercury, no other than Mr. Mitchell Berg.
Hello, Daniel. Thank you very much.
Welcome to Book 101, Mr. Mitchell, and can you please introduce more about yourself?
Well, I am a first-time author. I guess I'm a frustrated long-time author. I would love to have written much earlier in my life and in my professional career, but sometimes you begin to understand things and know more about yourself later on. I guess there's nothing like experience. So if I knew 40 years ago what I knew today, I do believe I would have taken a different professional path. So I guess there was always a bit of a writer inside of me. Unfortunately, it was sidetracked for almost 40 years in real estate management. So I'm New York City born and bred. I'm also a long time reader. I love reading. I believe I've always been a good writer, but I've been a writer in a business sense. I've written professional letters. I do believe I've always had a very good imagination and an ability for storytelling. And I started this process to try to combine the two. And the story, Flying on the Wings of Mercury, was something I thought about for a very long time. And I started it just when I retired about 3 years ago. And I thought that I produced the book and I would put it down in writing, and the next thing, it would just go out there and be published. But then reality
Yes.
set in. And the other realization was the book, the story, I've always thought is excellent. It's been really a fascinating journey. The story, I think it's very entertaining. It's got a lot of wonderful components, but the writing probably lagged a bit behind. So that's what I really have been doing for the last 2.5 years, learning how to write.
Congratulations, Mr. Mitchell Berg, for sharing your book to the world. So, what is the central premise of Flying on the Wings of Mercury?
Well, I always wondered if you hold a coin in your hand and you look at it and it has a date on it, let's say 1965, how many hundreds, thousands of people have held on to that coin? What stories do they have to tell? And I used the coin to basically take me on this journey, or hopefully to take a reader on this journey. And it started off, it's actually a 1921 Mercury dime. And it started off in Chicago, the 1920s. It then journeyed to Philadelphia in 1929 for the World Series in Philadelphia. It then was transported, and it's transported by exchanging hands. So somebody puts in change, it has a new owner. And it ended up in New York for the most part after, first in Brooklyn, and then it ended up in Long Island, New York, and it kind of it finished in Queens, New York, in Astoria, New York, which is a very nice, fun community in Queens. And it's really the story of one person primarily and two or three other people that had it previously. But the main focus is a woman who had it for a very long time, and then the current owner. It's been a lot of fun. It was really quite a journey, and I think it's an extremely entertaining book. At least I hope so.
Yes, lots of twists and turns, people. So, how does the 1921 Mercury Dime influence the events in the story?
Well, actually, it's more of a biographer than anything. Without giving too much away, what it does is the primary protagonist who has come into it in the last few years, the most recent owner, he inadvertently discovered that there was strange writing on his laptop. He himself was a wannabe writer, and he fashioned himself a writer. And he noted that there was substantial writing that was not of his hand or of his mind. And he, through trial and error, realized that somehow when he placed this dime on the laptop and he closed it at night, the next day there was information that didn't come from him because it predated his life by 50, 60 years in many cases. So it was it was quite a realization for him. And obviously, he questioned his sanity for a while. And he found out that it was somehow the dime miraculously transcribing these events that took place many, many, many years ago.
Interesting indeed, Mr. Mitchell. So, how does the novel blend elements of mystery, history, and humor?
Well, humor is a very important part of my life. I think, again, going backwards, if I could if I could script my life, I think I would have in many ways liked to have been a writer for Saturday Night Live or something. If I had the ability and the knowledge and the connections at the time and the wherewithal and the foresight. So I think the character, the protagonist, Zach, he's somebody that I guess could be best described as socially awkward. And I don't think he truly sees himself, but other people, he has good qualities, but he's got a lot of quirky qualities. And I think he was a lot of fun to make fun of in many ways. He also has a slightly dysfunctional family. And he's also the object of some of their barbs. And that's a humor part. The book itself, I think it's a little bit of historical fiction in that it goes back in time. And the second half of the book, it does have many twists and turns, and it turns into a little bit of a mystery. And he actually is joined. He has a relationship with his neighbor who becomes his girlfriend. And I think together they're quite a great tandem. And she sees him for what he is. And I think she really loves him and appreciates him for what he is. And I think she really saw who he could be well before he saw who he could be. And a lot of the steps he was able to take was really because the dime opened up a window of opportunity for him. I don't think he would have accomplished or ended up doing as much successfully without the dime and then without the relationship. So I think there are a lot of components to it.
So, Mr. Mitchell, what motivates Zach Howard's fascination with mystery novels?
Well, at one point he fashioned himself to be a great mystery writer. That's what he thought his future was going to hold for him. He actually had a few other jobs beforehand, which I tried to interject with humor, that fell short of his grand design of actually being an author of mystery writings. He kind of thought he was going to be the next P.D. James, the next Arthur Conan Doyle, Agatha Christie, but that obviously was not going to happen. So instead, the dime took him on a path that I don't think his imagination could have created himself. I think it was, he didn't have it within him. He was not a great writer. He did not have, I think maybe structurally he was a good writer, but I don't think he had the imagination. But it really greased the paths for him. He explored things that he never would have. And I think, I enjoyed sharing that with the reader. And it was a lot of fun.
Lots of fun, people. So, Mr. Mitchell, what narrative techniques does you employ to blend different time periods?
So that's a very good question. A very good question, and I wish I had more time to analyze that. No, I do go back and forth, and that was one of my concerns originally. Again, just as a first-time author, um, again, I produced the 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 bulk of the book, the story, within probably 5 or 6 months, and then the next 2.5 years were really spent making the writing what it should be or equal to the novel. And I did go back and forth, and there was a concern that by going back and forth, there might be a level of confusion to the reader. And obviously, that, could not happen. So for the most part, it goes from like a diary of Zach, the protagonist, in the current day. But when Louise, who is the woman who really had it for most of her life, or most of the book, or the second part of she shares, I guess, the book with Zach for a great extent. And that's really more of a biographical sketch. That's really more the dime describing what is happening to Louise. And I think, the font is different. There's a change, going back and forth. So it is clear, so it doesn't get confusing. And I had many readers look at it to make sure that there was not any confusion. Again, I keep referring to myself as a first-time author, and what it's really done for me is become so impressed with truly accomplished authors who do this professionally for their whole lives, just making it so easy for the reader. I wish I could say that was an easy thing for me to do. The story was an easy thing, but actually putting it down in writing so you and, readers who I don't know can enjoy it and fully become immersed in it. That was a lot of work.
Certainly. So, Mr. Mitchell, how does your writing style contribute to the novel's atmosphere?
I think again, humor is a great portion of what I do. I think my instinct as a person is to try to find something funny. My kids actually say I apparently have a tell. So Dad's going to tell a joke. They can say it. And actually, I use that line in the book that they were able to tell it someone who was going to be telling a joke. So I think everything I do, I really enjoy humor. I think it's very important. And, my slight concern is somebody that reads it. I don't think it's like belly laugh humor, though I think a lot of it is laugh out loud. But I think some of it's more subtle. He makes a few faux pas. Zach does, because he doesn't see himself. I mean, without giving too much away, there's one, when he's beginning to meet his girlfriend and getting to know her, she obviously likes him. She's interested in him. He misses all the signs. So one night she's suggesting, she'll spend the night with him. She's about to, and she's a neighbor, so she lives in his building. She's about to leave the front door, and he says, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't have any type of sleeping bag or air mattress for you." She rolls her eyes and she comes back with a sleeping bag, which was clearly not her intention. He missed all the signs, that she was going to sleep over. She was going to sleep over, but instead he completely was lost on him. So there's a naivete, and I think it's very easy to enjoy Zach and recognize for who he is and how he developed, but at the same time laugh at him.
So, Mr. Mitchell, what would be your advice for those people out there who want to write their novel like you?
That is, I think, that's so important, that question. And it's been a complete learning experience for me. I mean, I've written this book. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of effort. I mean, last week we were fortunate to be on your show with Ben Obler, who's the editor and the publisher of my book, with two other authors, Frank Castelluccio and also Donald Prophet, who I believe is going to be on your show next week. And Donald is a wonderful.
Friday.
Yes, he is on Friday. He is really a very wonderful man. And he's actually helped me a bit. Um, so I say something, maybe it's silly. I've told people that if John Grisham was to hand me a manuscript that he just wrote and says, send it in under your name, I think it's questionable whether or not it could be published. So I think there's a lot of really good books out there that really don't see the light of day, and it's an overwhelming process. So I mean, first of all, I am not here to endorse Synthetic Prophetic, which is my publisher, but I do think it really creates a unique opportunity because it's not exactly self-published, but it's not exactly a big publishing house. It's a small operation, and I think it really offers an opportunity to somebody who doesn't want to get 1,000 rejections. And I did not send my book to anybody, to any agents, to any publishing houses. I wasn't even going to publish it. I didn't want to do it. But my wife primarily encouraged me and said, this is really, really good. So I think my suggestion or advice to people who really feel good about their writing and think it merits the opportunity to be published, that, I guess self-publishing is one way to go. But I would consider reaching out to Synthetic Prophetic, just having a discussion, just see, back and forth. The one other thing, and for me, it was just a learning experience. I learned as I was going through it, I learned how to become a good writer, because the one thing I refused to do was publish something that wasn't good. I did not want a book published where you read on page 65 and it says or there are misprints and this and that. That would not have been a fair representation of the effort, the quality. I did not want to publish something for the sake of publishing it. So after 2.5 years, and my wife, proofread it, my daughter proofread it. My son, I asked him to proofread it, but he's a first-year lawyer, so he didn't have the time to proofread it. So, and Ben did the bulk of the editing and proofreading, and we all agreed it's an excellent book and it's worthy of publication. I hope I answered that question correctly.
Yes, indeed. And thank you so much again for sharing your talents to the world. So what will be your short-term and long-term goals in writing?
Well, I've actually written the first few pages of what I hope is going to be a short story. I have to be honest, I don't think I have another novel in me. I mean, I don't want to be disingenuous. This was an overwhelming task.
Yes.
It was a lot of fun, but it was a lot of work. And, I have nothing but respect for writers, for authors who do this professionally, because, I was naive and I thought, I just write something. I've got a great story. I'm going to write it. And once I went into the path, I realized it wasn't good enough. It didn't, as my publisher editor would say, you're not showing, you're telling. And I couldn't do that. It had to be of good quality. So right now, I think I have another great story that I think it's really unique, but it's going to be a short story. It's probably going to be, maybe 15,000 words as opposed to 85,000 words. Because I don't think I could make it into a full-length book again. And I don't think I, at this point, have the discipline to do it again. So, so in terms of writing, I love writing. I'd love to write a book of short stories. I think that'd be challenging. I have this idea right now, which I think is great, and I have another idea behind it, and then I'll see what else comes to me. So,
Looking forward for that short story, Mr. Mitchell, and you are most welcome to come back on Book 101 Review, and let's talk about it. So, how does the pacing of Flying on the Wings of Mercury affect the unfolding of the mystery?
the the mystery comes in the second half. I mean, and that was another slight concern of mine. I think the first half is really very good, but I've also read and been told that if you don't capture your reader in the first, couple of chapters, you may lose them. So I think the first half of the book is excellent. I think a lot more happens in the second half, and that's when the mystery develops. But I had to put everything in place. So anyone that reads it, I really think I think it's very enjoyable. I think they will definitely love the beginning of it, but it gets better. So the mystery kind of brings everything together at the end. It's kind of the glue that that concludes everything. I've also read a lot of books where it almost feels sometimes that the author doesn't know how to end it. So I wanted to end it comfortably and with what I believe was an excellent ending, and tie everything kind of together. And I believe I did that. There's a little bit of shock in certain parts of the second half of the book. There are unbelievable moments. And I just hope, the first half is captivating enough so they get to that portion. And the mystery really unfolds in the second half of the book.
Certainly. So, are there particular passages that effectively highlight the book's central themes?
Mm. Danny, you didn't tell me you were so had asked such great questions. I had no idea. And these are thought-provoking questions. My goodness.
I want to apologize. Yes,
No, no, don't
that's
talk.
me.
I wish, honestly, I wish you were on 60 Minutes. I mean, you really mispointed, excellent questions. You asked them.
Thank you.
Um, so now that I've sidetracked the original question, would you mind asking it again? I think
Yes.
I'll try to buy myself some time to answer
Are
better.
there, are there particular passages that effectively highlight the book's central themes?
I mean, I guess that there are several. There are probably several. I hope I'm not going to be asked to try to find it right now in the book because I don't know how much more time I have. But there are aha moments. There are shocking moments. I think when both Zach and Louise, who's she's in the past, when they both discover the realization of how writing is taking place, because she also discovered the secret. So, only 3 people really knew about the secret: Zach, his girlfriend Julie, and Louise, who lived in the past. And I think when it's not they said, oh, obviously the coin is writing this unknown writing to me.
Yes.
It doesn't happen like that. It has to be, you're questioning your sanity. How can a coin write? Coins don't write. So they did a series of tests to prove it. And I think those, when they both had the aha moments, when they both learned that, yep, undoubtedly this coin is transcribing, on my behalf. I think those were poignant and crucial to the novel.
Definitely. So, Mr. Mitchell, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my baby podcast, Mental Health 101, which created to empower our health awareness, our mental health awareness. So, please do listen. Mental Health 101. So, what is the overall message or takeaway that you impart to the reader for the Flying on the Wings of Mercury?
I think it's really very enjoyable. I've had people I've kind of not discarded, but people who my family, friends who like me, love me, know me, and they say, "Oh, this is wonderful." That means a lot to me, of course, and that support. But what's been really, really fulfilling is people that don't know me as well. So they give it to somebody else and they say, I've read 5, 10 books in the last year, and this is the best book I've read. So that's really been very important to me. So I just have enjoyed the ride. I've enjoyed the accomplishment. And, the next thing, the one component is how do I get more people to read it? And to know about it. And thanks to your show and to you, Daniel, and I appreciate it. I even forgive you for the very difficult questions you asked. On balance,
Thank you so much, Mr. Mitchell Berg. Thank you so much for sharing your book to the world, and we are looking forward for your stories, short stories or novels to come. So can you please invite our listeners to support Flying on the Wings of Mercury?
well, I would appreciate everyone giving it a shot. I think it's a great read. It has a lot of different aspects to it. I think it's very enjoyable.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Mitchell Berg because you support him more novel to come, more short stories to come. So, Mr. Mitchell, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Daniel. I really appreciate it very much. Thank you.
More to come, people. See you soon.